Hey everybody, Mike with Tough Fight. We're back for our first episode, and well, technically our second episode. And today we're going to talk about you. I want to know. I'm going to ask you the question today that maybe no one's ever asked you, but I'm hoping someone has. So that means I hope that you have an answer today. The question is, what do you want for your life? And I'm not necessarily talking about a Lamborghini or $1 million. And look, if that's all you want, then sure, let us know. But I think most people in the world are going to say, especially men, I think most men are going to say, I have no idea. And I know this because I have had a lot of employees in my time, and I've asked many of them over the years, what do you want to do with yourself? What do you want from your life? And I cannot tell you how scary it is that the majority of them say, I've never thought about that before. So why? That's what I want to know. Why don't you think about it? And I don't think it means that you're a loser or you don't have things figured out or it doesn't mean that you're less than or anything like that. It just means that you don't think about your life. And in my experience, one of the things that I find is that a lot of guys tend to have the mindset of that they're not worth anything in the first place. So that's why they don't ask the question. A lot of them worked, dead-end jobs their whole lives, and they're not going anywhere. And they don't think they've been trained to think that they can't go anywhere, right? Society's tough. Let's be honest. I mean, living in our society and our culture is not the easiest thing to do. And I think when you take into consideration the amount of people that really do get left behind, it's, nobody teaches anybody how to do anything anymore. A lot of people go to these big fancy colleges and they come out with the weirdest degrees that make $0 and they throw fits because they can't get a real job. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but a liberal arts degree probably isn't going to make you a lot of money. But I don't think money is necessarily our main focus. I think it's just more or less figuring out how to navigate this world without losing your shirt. We'll talk about money. We'll talk about jobs. We'll talk about all those things. But let's ask the question today. What do you want from your life? And if your answer is, I don't know, then I'm going to ask you the next question. The question would be this. Do you want to find out? Do you want to find out what you want from your life? Because I'm going to show you how. What we want to do is when we ask the question, what do I want from my life, is we're going to sit down and we're going to figure out, all right, let's ask a few basic questions. What am I good at? Right? What am I good at? What can I do? Make a list of 5 to 10 things that you can do. And then maybe put a little star next to the top 3 that you actually enjoy doing. That's a good start right there. And then ask the question, what are these things worth? Can these things get me out of the mess that I'm in? Especially focused on the guy who maybe he lives in his mom's basement. Maybe he lives with a bunch of friends. Maybe he doesn't have a home at all. Maybe you're just floating around and living under the bridge. And I've had employees that live under the bridge and they get gym memberships and take showers in the gym and come here, freshened up and whatnot. And a lot of them are really good employees, but their living situation was eventually their demise. They just weren't able to stay on top of things. Living on the street takes a ton of energy. I was actually homeless for 6 months. I know that's not a very long time. Thank God I was not into drugs or drinking or any of that stuff. I've never even smoked a cigarette. But let me just say this, and I don't want to give you the wrong idea. I have smoked weed, enough, we'll say. I was never a pothead, but I have smoked weed. But anyways, my point is, I'm not a drug alcohol guy. I just don't need it. It doesn't do anything for me. And it never was something that appealed to me, to just hold on to as a habit or a hobby even. So anyways, and look, if you're a pothead or whatever it is you do, that's your business. We don't need to worry about you right now. So anyways, we want to find out, how do we figure out what we want from life? Figuring out what you can do is probably a good step. Of course, that step is really more geared towards how are we going to get there? And that's okay. But for right now, we just want to figure out what are we good at. So let's just say that you're good with, I don't know, maybe you like to dig in your backyard, right? My son loves digging in our backyard. I mean, our yard's been a mess for years, and every year we've been doing more landscaping to it so that we can have a nice yard. And we are now at the point where we're about 95% complete, and he is just so upset that we're taking his yard away. So he can't dig the holes anymore and all that stuff because everything's finished. But anyways, let's just talk about you. If you're a guy who likes to dig holes in his backyard, I mean, what do you like about it? Right? Is it seeing what's under that dirt? Is it the prospect of maybe finding something? Be an excavator, right? Maybe get a job at an excavating company. You'll start off on a shovel, you'll work your way up. But it's important to find out what you want from life. And I think before we really dive too deep into what do we want to do with our lives, that's a little different. It's what do we want from our lives? Do we want purpose, right? Every man should have purpose. Every woman, every human being should have purpose on this earth. And when you discover what your purpose is, it will guide you to places that you didn't think you would have ever went. So what do we want from our lives? What do you want from your life? A lot of guys are probably going to be tempted to say, well, I want a nice house, I want a family, and I want a nice car and a good job. All right, well, that's cool. That's attainable. That's attainable. But I'm looking more from the standpoint of and this might sound just a little off the deep end, I always think of my death. So historically, my family lives to be the men in my family live to be anywhere between 85 and 95. So there's pretty decent lifespan in my family. So if I'm 49, right, we'll just call it 50, I'm going to probably live another 30 to 40 years. So I'm 50 now, so that's a little less than half my life. And I guess I'm at the point in my life where I think about my death, not in a morbid sense, but I do think, how do I want to die? Where do I want to be? And when I close my eyes and picture my death, I picture myself on my porch swing on my balcony, which is really cool. It's stucco, so people can't, they don't even know you're up there. It's awesome. But what I'm getting at is I'm on my porch swing, right? And I'm lying down on the porch swing. It's a beautiful spring, summer, fall day, but it's nice. It's warm, 70s maybe. Blue sky, beautiful blue sky with a few passing white cotton ball clouds. And, I'm 85, 90 years old and, did decent, but I'm in my house. And then I slip off. That's my vision of my death. So why is that important? Here's why. The fact that I see myself at my house on my balcony means that I stayed there my whole life. Now me, I'm happy in my home. I love my house. I'd love to die in my house. So the fact that I'm in my house when I die means that I'm going to have to pay for it. I'm going to have to pay the thing off, right? I'm going to have to have made enough money to keep it maintained. My wife, she's 10 years younger than me. I'm going to have to make enough money to have supported that vision through to the end. So if I die at 85 or 90, that means I was probably in pretty decent health, which means I'm going to have to take care of myself, right? I'm going to have to maybe go to the gym. I'm probably going to have to eat right. Now, I'm not saying that we have to spend millions of dollars here, right? Here's what I'm saying. I am saying that Knowing where I want to be when I die and what the scenery looks like, my setting, tells me everything I need to know about how to prepare for that day. What's cool is that preparing to die means that I get to live and I get to dictate the outcome. You see what I'm saying? That's why this is not a morbid conversation. This is like we're thinking to the end, to the end. And look, the plan could change, but we're thinking to the very end of life. And we're basically saying, how are we going to get there and do it right? So that's what it's all about. I want to know what you want from life. And if you don't know, then I want to know if you want to find out. Because if you want to find out what you want from life, then you've already made the biggest step. Now all we have to do is get you to keep watching our videos so that we can show you how to get there. I'm Mike. Life is tough. Fight back. See you next time.